Alright, so today I decided to try and take out a Hammerhead and a Reliant Tana. And honestly, I thought this was going to be pretty interesting because the Reliant Tana has a huge amount of DPS. Like, compared to a Gladius, it nearly has 1,000 more DPS. Like, a Gladius is sitting at 1,500, the Reliant Tana is sitting at 2,400 DPS. So, I thought this would be a fairly fast kill on a Hammerhead. It ended up being pretty quick, but a couple problems I ran into with the Reliant Tana is just the fact that it's kind of a big target to hit, and you really have to keep a lot of power and shields. Even though you got the same amount of shielding as a Gladius, you're just going to take a lot more hits. Anytime I tried to take my power out of shields, my shields went down pretty quick. But if you keep about 50% power into shields, I really didn't have any problems. I would take some hits, but if the more power you have in shields, the more hits they can take. So if you have some power in shields, you're going to take less damage from hits. And then the hits, I wasn't getting hit enough that made it so that my shields would drop fast enough. They were always able to recharge back up to 100 pretty quick with 50% power. Kind of the downside is I wasn't able to keep as much DPS on the target as I would have liked, just because I was having to wait for my guns to recharge quite a bit. But that being said, the Reliant Tana is a pretty cool ship, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on it just because you have so much DPS. You do have, like, I think it's one cargo unit of storage, so you have a little bit of like wiggle room with stuff that you can do. You can definitely do box missions in it. The only thing that's kind of annoying is if you don't have your landing gear down, you can't get back to the back for the beds or the bathroom or anything like that. So you have to go put your landing gear on. So like if you have a co-pilot, he can't just like stand up and move around. If you're in Quantum, you can't move around. So kind of a little bit weirder design, but it's from Misk, so I think all their designs are pretty weird. But yeah, with the damage buff and being able to put the turrets on the end, you get 6 size 2 guns. And man, that is just a lot of DPS going on target. So in this fight, I just did my kind of what I usually do is take down the rear shield and then try to hit the center portion of the ship to blow it up the quickest. It's the fastest way I found. If you guys have a faster way to destroy hammerheads, that's not just using a torpedo, but like a different strategy with like these ships, let me know down in the comments below for sure, because I'd be interested to try out some different methods on killing hammerheads. But I still don't think the ERTs are worth it, because you do really, especially with the Tana, you really got to take out the ships that pop in with a hammerhead, just because the Tana, like, if they're shooting at you, they're going to hit you all the time if you're not trying to dodge those ships specifically. So it's just a real pain. But yeah, as you can see there, I tried to switch my guns out of shields, took a couple hits, and I had to put it right back in, so it really didn't do me any good. But with repeaters, the recharge rate's fast enough that it doesn't matter too much. You're still going to be able to put a decent amount of DPS on target at all times, even with only 50% power into guns. I didn't try this, but I guess I could have experimented with maybe taking a little bit of, putting a little bit more power into guns and a little bit out of shields, but the 50 weapons, 50 shields worked out pretty well. And boost never became a problem. I always had enough boost, so I never really had to put any power into boost to recharge that. Maneuverability in the ship's decent enough to definitely strafe a hammerhead pretty well. I do think people are kind of sleeping on the ship, because once, like even probably next patch, this is going to be a really good ship, just because you do have some cargo space. You, like, in the future when like having to use bathrooms and showers become important, this ship does have that. You got beds, you got crew for 2 people, but like if you're just one person, you can still just have all the turrets on the pilot, so you really don't need 2 people at all. But definitely if your friend hops on every once in a while, he can jump in and use the turrets, and you can become even more deadly. You're going to have like this ship, even though it's easier to hit, it feels like it has a decent amount of hull damage. I mean, it's kind of an issue because your guns are on the on the very tips of the wings. So if they get blown off, you kind of you lose a lot of firepower then. But you can definitely still make it home with the damaged ship. You got a decent amount of hull damage. You got good shielding, and you can have a buddy hop on and control the turrets and become even more lethal. So I think this ship's really slept on. If you're somebody that kind of likes a little bit of a weirder ship, then I could definitely see this being a great ship for you. Anyway, thank you all for watching the video. Let me know if you have any suggestions for ships that you want to see take out a Hammerhead down in the comments below.